Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, now here I am with another Christmas review. And now next up for my next review, this is going to be a review for the movie Scrooged. So, so I really wasn't familiar with this movie at all until I found it as I was looking for movies and specials to review this year. So this was a film that I really wasn't even really familiar with at all. Like I didn't even know this film even existed. But yeah, when I did see it, like when I found out about it, I figured, yeah, I could give this a watch this year and I would review it. And this film overall, this was kind of a interesting film. So, as you can probably guess by the title, this film is kind of like a sort of like a loose adaptation of A Christmas Carol. Yeah. So you may remember, like back, I think in like it was 2016, like during Christmas time, I did talk about just some various adaptations of A Christmas Carol. But I didn't talk about this one, of course. Yeah, and I guess like I can see why I didn't even talk about this. Well, yeah, as I just said, I didn't even know this film existed until I found out about it to look for films and specials to review this year. And also, since this isn't a straight up Christmas Carol adaptation, it really is just it sort of is sort of a modernized sort of version of A Christmas Carol. Yeah, this film is kind of like the movie Hollow Man. How that movie was sort of like a loose remake of The Invisible Man. Like how it's set in modern times with different characters, but follows the same story. Yeah, this film is kind of the same way with A Christmas Carol. This really does kind of have the same formula that Hollow Man did. Like this is set in modern times with different characters and such. But yeah, this still does follow the Christmas Carol story. So yeah, so it really is well, it's not like a straight up adaptation. It really is kind of like a loose adaptation of A Christmas Carol. Yeah. So like I just said, this film has different characters, and it really is set in modern times. It's not like during Dickens' time. This film is centered around a Scrooge figure who's kind of a very greedy and pushy um TV network president named Frank Cross, and it shows how, like I said, he really is just kind of like a real Scrooge figure, really very very greedy and not a nice person, and really just pushing all the employees around, pretty much ordering them and telling them what to do. And there's his assistant is kind of a Bob Cratchit figure in this movie. Yeah. And yeah, it shows how he's really ordering her around and not really treating her very good. Hood. And yeah, and she does have a son that is essentially a Tiny Tim figure in this movie. Yeah, and yeah, and it shows how like I said, this really just does have pretty much all the elements of A Christmas Carol. Like I said, Frank Cross, who's played by Bill Murray, shows how he's a Scrooge figure, and then it shows how eventually he gets a visit from his deceased former mentor, who's the Jacob Marley figure in this. And yeah, and he really just tells him how he made mistakes and he's suffering for them, and the same thing is gonna happen to Frank, but he does have an opportunity to change it. And yeah, he'll be visited by the ghosts and everything. And Frank does get visits from the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. And yeah, just showing him the route that he has gone on through. He's been going down, and what's really led to him being what he is now, and what he is gonna end up being. And so yeah, it really is just the Christmas Carol format, as I said. And yeah, and then in the end he does the learn his lesson, and then he changes his ways. And yeah, then it ends with him being a totally different person, being very good to people and all that stuff. So Yeah, so it really does follow the Christmas Carol formula. Really, like even like this film, it really does acknowledge like the original Christmas Carol story does exist because the network that um Frank runs, like showing how like he is like wanting to have a live production of a Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve, and he really is just like making his staff work through the holiday. Yeah, and it does kind of like show like how like on Christmas Eve, like as Frank is like having the stuff with like the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. It shows how like this live Christmas Carol show is actually airing on TV during this time. So yeah, so there are like some like differences. Well, some like modernized changes, I guess I should say, to this movie from the original Christmas Carol story. But yeah, it like I said, it does really follow like the same formula. Yeah. So yeah, so I guess I'm not really gonna go over like the entire premise of this movie because yeah, it does really just follow the original Christmas Carol story, and I've already talked to death about a Christmas Carol. Like I already did like talk about like pretty much like just the story of A Christmas Carol before, and I did like go through just the various adaptations already. So yeah, so I've already like talked a bunch about A Christmas Carol, so I don't even really think I really need to go into detail about the story of this film since it does follow the same formula. Yeah, but yeah, I did think that this was a interesting movie. Like, I did think that like some of the stuff that it was doing was like kind of funny. Like, the designs of like the ghosts in this film, I did think some of them were funny. Like uh when Frank gets the visit from his old mentor, Lou Hayward, or his ghost, like his design really is like really like kind of creepy, but also funny. Yeah, it's not like Jacob Marley, how like he really is just like a ghost, like carrying chains. Like Lou Hayward, like when we do see him, like yeah, like his appearance is just like he's like a rotting corpse, like and it's still like in like a suit and stuff, and yeah, it is kind of funny to like see something like this be in the movie rather than just like a normal ghost like Jacob Marley was. And yeah, it was pretty funny. And even like Frank does like get freaked out when seeing him. Yeah, so yeah, the the design of Lou Hayward is pretty funny in this movie. Yeah, and the three ghosts, like the designs are like kind of interesting for them. Like the Ghost of Christmas Past, like in like the various adaptations of A Christmas Carol, the Ghost of Christmas Past has just had like numerous different designs in the various adaptations. But yeah, the Ghost of Christmas Past in this film is kind of funny. Like the Ghost of Christmas Past is kind of like just has an appearance of like just this very manic taxi driver, and yeah, and it is kind of funny to see this. Like it's just very different than what we have seen with the Ghost of Christmas Past before, and yeah, and it really is just kind of funny to see like the Ghost of Christmas Past have like a design like this, yeah, and yeah, and in this one, the Ghost of Christmas Past, like with Frank to see him, like he takes a Frank to just kind of like see like what his life was before, of course, and it really does kind of like show like how in A Christmas Carol how Scrooge like used to have like a pretty good life and he was like in love, but eventually like his greed got in the way and it cost him the relationship with his woman. Here, like it is kind of like done similarly. It shows how like uh Frank did like have a relationship with like his old love Claire, but when it showed that like he was like prioritizing his TV career over her, he ended up losing her. Yeah, yeah, and in this film it does also show how like Frank like does kind of like reunite with Claire, wanting to make amends, but it also does like show like how Claire is like taking up working in a homeless shelter, and as he like shows that how Frank does have some contempt for some of the people there, he just like ends up having a change of attitude and just sours up with Claire. Yeah. Yeah. Then with the Ghost of Christmas Present, like this one is like really funny. Like in this movie, the Ghost of Christmas Present, like has like the appearance of like a fairy here. Yeah, and I did like find it pretty funny. It shows how like the Ghost of Christmas Present is really like an ethereal, sweet voice fairy, but it also shows how like she like just constantly abuses Frank to focus his attention, which yeah was honestly pretty funny. Like showed how like she like punched and kicked and slapped him. Yeah, so kind of funny to like see the Ghost of Christmas Present have this kind of appearance and added in personality in this film, rather than like the go-to Christmas present has pretty much always had like the same design in A Christmas Carol, and here it's just is really funny to see the go-to Christmas present have just a very different appearance and personality. Yeah, yeah, and it is like a show in like how like Grace is like having her well, yeah, his assistant Grace, I guess I should say, is like the Bob Cratchit figure, like I said earlier, showing how like she's like struggling to support her family, which includes her son Calvin, who has like remained mute since his father's death. So very similar to what Bob Cratchit was going through with Tiny Tim. Yeah. Yeah. Then yeah. Then when it came for the Ghost of Christmas Future, the Ghost of Christmas Future pretty much did like have the same appearance. Ghost of Christmas Future really was like a Grim Reaper like figure. And yeah, then yeah, showing Frank the future of like how um rather than Calvin dying like Tiny Tim, showing how like he's just been institutionalized and uh Claire is like really living a decadent life like Frank was, seeing the homeless in disgust, and also like showing how, like in A Christmas Carol, shows that like Frank is dead now, and oh yeah, and then like that's when like as Frank was about to be cremated, that's when like Frank then like had the change of heart and changed his demeanor. Yeah. So yeah. So like I said, this really is like done in like pretty much a very with the same setup as A Christmas Carol, with just like in A Christmas Carol with Scrooge just like going through like the past, present, and future and seeing like what is like in the future for him if he does like continue down like the route that he's going under, and he has to really change his ways to stop it from happening. Yeah, and here like Frank does go through the same thing, different style of course, but yeah, still really um interesting to really see it done this way. And then yeah, and I guess this really was done this way to play for laughs, especially like with the stuff with the Ghost of Christmas Present. Yeah, then eventually, of course, then Frank then does a return to his studio, and then yeah, then during the live production of A Christmas Carol, Frank just interrupted it and was just like speaking into the camera of his new appreciation for life, and was just making apologies to everybody that he's been bad to, such as Grace, his brother James, and the cast and crew. And there was also like this guy, Elliot, who Frank fired like early on in the film, and it shows like uh, throughout the film how Elliot is just like going crazy, and like he ends up like going drunk and trying to shoot Frank with a shotgun. But then it shows how now he rehired Elliot as well with a better position. Yeah, and then made a plea to Claire to come back to him. Then it showed how then like Claire then went back to Frank with the help of the Ghost of Christmas Past, and then they reunited. And then as like everybody was celebrating, Calvin came up to Frank and just reminded him, well, yeah, reminded him to say the words "God blesses everyone," on finally breaking his mute state. Yeah, then it just ended with like everybody singing and dancing with the song "Put a Little Love in Your Heart." Then it just like showed like how Frank actually did see the ghosts along with Lou, who all smiling and waving back at him. So like I said, this film really like it does follow like the formula of A Christmas Carol, but it really is done like pretty pretty differently, like with like having it be like more of a modernized version of A Christmas Carol with different characters and stuff. So yeah, so I guess like this was like interesting to see. So I'm glad that I did see this. Like it's interesting to kind of like see A Christmas Carol story be done this way, like with it being like set in modern times with different characters and such. So yeah, so I'm surprised that there aren't really like more or story movies like this that really do kind of like give their own take on A Christmas Carol in this way. It would be interesting to see like other adaptations of A Christmas Carol done in this way. So yeah, I mean, could we get some more of these ever in the future? I guess only time will tell. But yeah, I did I did actually enjoy watching this. I did think that there was some funny stuff in here, and just kind of interesting to see like a take on A Christmas Carol done in this way. So I guess I would probably give this movie 3 stars out of 4. So yeah, so if you're a fan of a Christmas Carol, I do think that this is like worth checking out. Just kind of like see it done in a different way with like pretty much just a more modernized version of A Christmas Carol. So yeah, so if you're a fan of A Christmas Carol, I would guess I would recommend giving this a watch and just seeing what you think of it. All right. So yeah. So I guess that's the best way I can put it. So yeah. So like I said, I give it 3 stars out of 4. All right. So yeah. So I guess that's all I really have to say about this. So yeah. So this is my review of Scrooged. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.